All right, what's up, guys? Steve here at Dynasty Life here with the boys.
Polish hammer dog.
Bagala.
All right,
Let's get it.
Today we're bringing you an episode of we're gonna do a dynasty draft. All right, and we're just gonna be making our picks and I guess talking about our picks or strategy, whatever the case may be. So I think it's start 8 we did, right? 1 QB, 2 RBs, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 tight end, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah,
And is it
it's pretty standard.
half PPR?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, perfect. So anyway, it looks like I got first pick. We put Bagala there right in the middle at 6, and then Hammers on the turn there at 12. So go ahead, start this off. Let's do this. So, all right, I'm on the clock here, and for me in Dynasty, it's really between Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson at the first pick. Although you can't go wrong really with Jonathan Taylor either. We're all a little biased sometimes with certain players and stuff like that. Justin Jefferson just happened to be on my Minnesota Vikings. He's also tied to Kirk Cousins.
Don't sleep on Najee. Don't sleep on Najee this early.
They are saying he's going to be like the Cooper Kupp in that offense. So I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson, but I can't argue with anyone taking like Cooper Kupp or Taylor, Chase, or Najee kind of there as well. But anyway, when y'all are doing drafts, do you have a specific strategy going in? Or do you kind of just see kind of where the chips may fall? You could put on pause, but I guess while we're just talking about it for a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think like in terms of strategy, I'm more looking at, especially in those first couple early rounds, you take the best player available.
Pause it before I get auto picked.
Or you can make it pick and then just pause it after, whatever.
Yeah, we'll turn it on. We'll go at the turn. Bagala, make a pick.
All right.
But
well,
yeah, so how do you go into it, Hammer?
Yeah, I'm just going into it looking, especially those first couple of rounds, who, the best player, especially in the dynasty draft, the young guy. You really can't go wrong in too many spots. That first round really kind of have your pick of the litter in terms of your established guy. So, making a pick this early isn't terribly difficult. So it depends on really who falls to me. Bagala got Cooper Kupp. Yeah. What you thinking there?
I really like. At that point, it'll be hard to pass up Christian McCaffrey, but you just don't know if he's gonna play a whole season. And the last couple of seasons, when he's on the field, he's dynamic, but when he's not, it's just you're missing so much of your team's points when he's not there. And Cooper Kupp was so good last year. Matthew Stafford's not going anywhere. I don't expect him to have another historic season, but I think for the next 3 or 4 years, Cooper Kupp is going to be dancing up there with the top 5 wide receivers in the game. And when I'm picking in Dynasty, I like to try and break it down into 3 or 4 years, 3 or 4 year increments, like 4 year increments, where is this guy going to give me top production for the next 4 years? Because in Dynasty, you always have new rookies coming in. So I have no problem, if there's a guy there that's going to give me, 10 years of top of the line production, I'm going to take him. But, Cooper Kupp, I have no problem taking Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
In the middle
No,
of
I
the draft
agree.
like
I think you picked him right there in the perfect spot. I mean, can't go wrong with that at all. But when I'm drafting, I don't particularly have a strategy going in. I kind of just see where the chips may fall. Like Hammer said, you want to take the best player, available sometimes early. It all depends. It all just kind of depends who's on the board and what's left on the board before I make my kind of decision which way I want to go. There's all these different strategies out there. Zero,
and it depends on where you're picking.
Zero RB, one hero RB, a bunch of different ways that people like to kind of break down their teams. But all right, so Hammer, you went over here. CD Lamb just went right before you. Devontae Swift, and you took Mixon there at the 112.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Now
reason
you
why I
have
do
to-
that is because number one, the Bengals have an improved offense. They got a ton of weapons. Joe Burrow is terrific, and there's plenty to go around in that offense. So I know I'm going to have a workhorse, and Joe Mixon is one of those workhorse guys that you really don't have to worry about too much in that particular offense. So right off the bat, I have an RB1. Here, I'm going to make a pick. It's going to be tough, but I am going to take Devontae Adams just
Do it.
because I'm not going to pick for a while.
He's the-
And I need a wide receiver one at this point. I know wide receiver is really deep, but Devontae was really the best in terms of consistent production. We talked about Devontae. He is 29, but I still know I'm going to get at least 3 to 4 years of elite production at that spot. And then going forward, I could take maybe some younger guys with upside.
Mhm. Yeah, I knew you were going to take Adams there. I mean, he was kind of the best wide receiver there.
And I
mean,
had
you got-
to.
You got
I-
AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill. I mean, out of Cheetah and Diggs, I mean, I'd probably take either Diggs.
I was leaning
But I like
Debo
AJ.
Samuel. I was leaning Debo Samuel, but I just had to go Devontae
Really?
because he's just much more proven.
Yeah,
and
Debo.
I had to take Devontae there.
Yeah, but Bagala, what are you thinking as far as like, do you have a strategy going in necessarily, or do you?
I do. I kind of like to try and get a top guy at each level. You know, quarterback, a top wide receiver, a top top 10 running back, top 10 quarterback, and things like that. I like to do that, but right here, I don't know. I just there's something to be said about consistency.
Yeah.
And Stephon Diggs right there, Brees Hall might be good. You know, Mark Andrews, okay. Nick Chubb, I was thinking about it. AJ Brown, I think he's due for a big year. But Stephon Diggs has Josh Allen, and we've seen since he's had Josh Allen,
Consistent.
he's going to give you 15 to 20 points a game. That's what he's going to do. He's going to go over close to 1,200, 1,300 yards. He's going to give you at least 10 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs is a bona fide number one. He's solid, and he's just consistent. And you're always going to have that 15 to 20 points in your lineup.
I think his consistency has not his consistency, but the production has ticked down just a little bit in the last year or two, but I can't argue with the consistency. So,
well, you're talking about a tick down. Like you're not going to catch 15 touchdowns and go over 1,500 yards.
No, I agree. I'm saying on a per game basis,
but he still catches 7 to 8 balls every game. And
yeah, listen, I have no problem with the consistency. That's why I don't have a problem with the pick at all.
Steve.
Long.
Can you pause that, bro?
Yeah, he's only pausing it for himself.
I never paused it.
So
I never paused it.
I had to make a real quick decision. So I've got a couple different scenarios. I was kind of just playing out in my head. Where am I gonna go? I feel like the RBs are just kind of a big blur over here, like in what's like left for me. And so I don't really want to reach on anything. And then I'm looking at DK, I'm looking at T. Higgins, I'm also looking at Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and I guess I like T. And then I think I might just have to bubble it up and go with Burrow here. I think that's just how the chips might fall for me.
Hey, as we've seen, Joe Burrow.
I'm really struggling between Burrow and Metcalf here. But I think I'm going to go Burrow just for the longevity and because he's playing with T. Higgins. So it kind of just locks in.
I actually love that.
QB.
And that's not just me being biased. I do like having a quarterback wide receiver combination, especially as one as young as these two. So
and then Herbert and Mahomes goes right after.
It's awesome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was thinking there. But all right, so Bagala, you're on the clock here now. You got two wide receivers. What are you thinking? What's coming to your mind here?
Well, right now it's just like I have two wide receivers now. I'm not one of those guys that like to go that no running back strategy. I'll wait for a later running backs, you know what I'm saying? Um, third round, I start looking for, somebody that's with some upside, but I don't know. I don't know.
So you're just
Here,
gonna take the RB because you
well,
need one, or you feel like you need to fill that spot? Like,
I'm
do you
gonna
have
take a
that fear?
RB now because I feel like I have to take a RB now. Because by the time it comes back around, you don't know what other people are gonna do. It's gonna get real thin, and maybe I don't want who's there. I don't guys here. I was really high on Cam Akers before he got hurt last year. I thought he was going to come in and make a
Pick is
splash
coming up.
this year, but in the
Make your
third
pick, make your
round, I'm going to take Saquon.
I knew you were going to take Saquon. But see,
Yeah.
that's where sometimes I kind of have trouble with, or I kind of disagree with, especially in Dynasty. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to take a position because I feel like I need to, where for me, I'd rather just take the value and take the best guy there, because, in Dynasty, you can always just trade that value for value at a different position, right? So I don't necessarily look at it as, I got to fill a position, even though, of course, you do. And I would love to have a running back, but I don't know. Like, that's why I just couldn't take one where I was. I didn't feel like there was one that was better than, or going to be better than Higgins and the Burrow combination.
Yeah, well, for you there, I understand taking Burrow because you got Higgins. You get to double dip a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to take another receiver. I got two old world receivers. I would like to get a running back. A decent running back with some upside.
Yeah.
And solidify that position.
All right. So Hammer, what are you thinking here on your little 1-2 turn?
Yeah, so for me, the 1-2 turn is nice. I like having it if I'm 11 or 12 because I don't necessarily have to reach, but I can balance my team well. I don't have to, if I want to reach for a guy. So here I'm gonna go Michael Pittman.
I like Pittman.
And I think the addition of Matt Ryan is going to be really good for him in terms of stable production at that wide receiver 2 spot. So I feel real comfortable with that. And then I could go running back here to set myself up as, RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2.
Who are you looking at RB?
So RB's Cam Akers is very intriguing. I don't know how quick Kenneth Walker is gonna get the rock there.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys that like a James Conner. I know it's gonna be his rock to tote in Arizona out there. So I would stretch for Conner only because I'm not gonna pick for a little while if I wanted to.
Over like ETN. Now, how much are you taking, I guess, age into the situation? I guess especially right now since we're like drafting.
With running backs, you want to get them a little bit earlier. Wide receivers tend to last longer. So running backs, I would lean on the young side. So if I'm taking a running back,
he's still like Conner more than like an ETN.
No, I would probably lean Cam Akers before ETN.
Really?
And that's just how I feel because I think that Rams offense is just so much more balanced.
I thought he was going to be so good. I was so upset he ended up ripping up his Achilles.
But he came on strong towards the end of the season, though. So I think with that balanced offense, I just like the fit a little more. As Bagala said, you can't really load the box. They got a ton of weapons there. They got a really good quarterback. I just don't know what Jacksonville is offensively yet. And maybe that's me being a little short-sighted in projecting ahead. But I think Cam Akers is good enough in a really good offense to give me at least some consistency at an RB2 spot.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. If he was my RB1, I might find myself in some trouble. But since he's not, I feel like I could take a little bit of a flyer. And if he's my RB2, then I'm in good shape.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And in my situation here, I feel like I got both of my I got a good running back. I got two really good wide receivers. But I like to try and get difference makers at each level of my team. And if for whatever reason in a dynasty draft, people are gonna let Kyler Murray slip to the fourth round, be my guest. I'll take him. If Kyler Murray's gonna go with the 4-7, I'm gonna take Kyler Murray. He's just so dynamic with running and throwing the ball. Now he does need to stay healthy, and last year he did get hurt. But
Do you think the lack of DeAndre Hopkins there for the first month and a half is going to affect his production early on?
I maybe throwing the ball, but then it just balances it out because he runs so efficiently. Like every time it seems like you watch Kyler Murray run, doesn't it seem like he's picking up 15-20 yards? You understand what I'm saying?
And he makes people miss.
And he makes people miss. And so I think maybe the touchdowns, the passing touchdowns may be a little short, but I think he can make that up with his feet for the first month of the season. But I just think he's too dynamic. And I'd actually rather him over Lamar Jackson. He just throws the ball way better. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't take a pounding like Lamar either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so I'm here. I'm my little 1-2 turn, and like Hammer said before, sometimes you got to reach just a tiny bit to grab somebody that
especially if you're picking at
down,
especially if you're picking at the ends.
So I think what I'm gonna do here is just solidify my tight end with Schultz, because with Dak, I mean, and he was the number 3 tight end last year. Now Amari's not there. There's just so much more, even more targets to go around.
Okay. It's a little bit of a surprise.
So I'm gonna
That's high.
There.
That is high to me.
He was number 3
That's
tight end, baby. So
yeah, but
well, I'll tell you what I'm doing. It's just kind of because the way the board is falling to me right now that I don't know. That's kind of why I'm doing this. This is a tough one. I don't know who to go here. I think I know who to go.
You know who you're taking.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm real close to taking DJ Moore.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
But I'm actually not going to take DJ Moore. And I'm actually going to take Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, okay.
That's
I thought you might have went London there just because he's a rookie.
I was really thinking about going with London. But obviously he is a rookie. I don't know what's going to happen this first year, especially with that offense. And I just feel like Jeudy is at least solidified with Russell for the next few. So
He's a safer pick.
It gives him, a lower floor and a real high, upside. So
higher floor.
And also just to kind of just solidify my 3 kind of young wide receivers, core. So I guess what I've done now is I've kind of solidified dominance in almost 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 5 positions, right? Dalton Schultz will be top 5 no matter what. Burrow, I mean, you would hope would be something like top 10, but then with the combo with Higgins and then Jefferson and Jeudy, I mean, these are all, guys that could be possibly number 1s at their position. So I'm hurting at RB right now, but
you're hurting. You're hurting big time.
I'm gonna keep chugging along. I'm gonna keep chugging along, and
you're hurting big time. And I feel like in a spot that if you're in the middle of the draft, you're gonna get a lot of people where you're gonna it's like you're gonna get those middling guys that had bad seasons, or you may seem like they're on the downside, but I still think, in the 5th round, if Zeke is there in the 5th round at the 6th pick, you kind of have to take him because he does have the upside that he has, and he's been really, really good. And also, I think, when he gets older, whatever, he may not be that guy that's going to tote the rock 27 times, 30 times to give you 100 yards, but Zeke is still gonna have the touchdown potential because he's a big
Oh,
back.
absolutely.
He's a big
Absolutely.
back, and he's gonna get the goal line carry. So right there, I take Zeke and I solidify my RB2.
I think especially since just the Dynasty startup where I'm just trying to get as much value and young elite talent that I can. Whether we like it or not, Dalton Schultz is kind of an elite tight end. Is he athletic like some of these other guys? No, not at all.
Yeah,
But
but I feel like you could have got him right back on this wraparound.
no, look, Hawkinson and Waller just went. Who's next coming off the
Maybe.
board is Schultz. Schultz was the next one that's coming off. So I'd have to wait a whole another 12 picks. So that I don't think that he would have came back to me, which is why I took him there. Realistically, I probably would have took Judy and then Schultz. But just since the time was running out, I had Schultz up there, so I just clicked him first. But yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking there. So you took Zeke there as your second RB, Bagala, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just because, like you just said, because he was just kind of still there.
He's still there, and
Mhm.
he has he's gonna get the goal line carries, he has the touchdown potential, and you know what I'm saying. Regardless if he's a year or two away, I'd like to take a year or two of Zeke rather than what's left in the running back pool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what's there? A lot of guys
That's what-
went. Fournette went. I really wanted Connor, but Connor went before. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like he's the best right there.
Mhm. Yeah, I see that. And then, all right, comes back around to Hammer. And all right, tell us what you're thinking over here, Hammer.
So I went Hollywood Brown, which I feel like the value as my wide receiver 3 for Hollywood Brown. The upside is going to be tremendous. He's with Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks. If I could get off to a really good start with Hollywood, he's really their explosive game breaker now. No more Christian Kirk. AJ Green is not a downfield threat as much anymore. He's more of a possession guy. So, you have a little Rondell Moore, but I don't think Hollywood threatens him. So to get explosive plays out of my wide receiver 3, that could change the balance of a game. I feel really good with that. And then, I was struggling a little bit, but if Mike Williams can even give me 80% of his total production from last year, I'm still looking at 1,000 yards, 7-8 touchdowns. He's basically my flex at this point, and it gives me good versatility at the wide receiver spot. Just got the contract, playing with Justin Herbert. I love his situation.
Yeah. And I guess back around to you, Bagala. At the halfway point there.
Yeah.
I almost took Amon-Ra with that instead of Mike Williams.
You took the guy I wanted to take.
I'm gonna take Dylan.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like at his position, his situation, the Packers are gonna run the ball a ton. And again,
Yeah,
Dylan's a house. He's young and he's gonna get goal line carries.
He gives you a ton of touchdown upside.
Now I'm looking. I don't care where it comes from. I'm looking for production now.
Yep.
Now I'm looking for production. I'm looking at the age now also, because I want those younger guys that maybe will step in a year or two and take over.
They can break out.
That can break out and take over for the guys at the top. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let guys in the top of the draft go past me because I'm worried about age. You understand what I'm saying? I'll get my guys at the top, and then I'll start trying once it gets down here, I'm trying to fill out with age and production. You know what I'm saying? And breakout potential and upside.
Yeah. All right. I
like that. I like that Dylan pick a lot, actually.
I was gonna take Dylan if he fell to me, but I was worried he probably wasn't gonna. All right. So
you're in a hole.
My God.
You're in again. You're in a hole.
In a hole.
Yeah, you are, dude. You cannot.
you think, bro. So you think. It's just, see, when I'm in this area here, all right, Darnell Mooney, Jamison Williams, and Rashard Bateman, and then I've got Damian Harris and Miles Sanders on the board and Tony Pollard on the board. I don't have a running back yet. Yes, I don't. But what's the point of me taking one of those guys and leaving a Rashard Bateman and Darnell Mooney, Sky Moore, Jamison Williams, and leaving all these guys that are like wide receiver twos, could possibly be potential wide receiver ones, and leaving them on the board.
And you could deal them if you really needed to.
Well, that's the other part of it. That's why I like the value of it, is because I can deal these guys if I need to, right? And what I'm even going to do here is I'm going to even do something crazy, since I kind of do have my 3 wide receivers in flex. I'm going to take the chance on Jamison Williams. Fuck it. Right? So he's all the way down there. Now I'm going to get to my running backs, but I could trade at any point in time. And these running backs all at this point in time are all like a toss up, you know, they're all like these RB2s in these kind of situations. So probably maybe the next round or round after, I'll start just picking a ton of RBs.
There might not be much left.
But that's and that's what I'm saying. It's gonna get real thin. It's gonna get real thin real quick.
So essentially, what I've done is I've turned my flex position basically into almost like my running back position. So even though I'm going to be weak at my 2 running back positions, I'm going to be beast in all 3 wide receiver positions.
But now, do you think
my flex position and my QB position and my tight end position?
Yeah,
right?
but how can
I've got elite guys at every single position?
Do you think that gives another team leverage over you when you're making a deal? If your
100%
running back is terrible,
not necessarily, because I still have the valuable piece, you know, in the wide receiver. So even if I'm not able to trade somebody and get an RB2 or RB1 for this season, you know, I still can make moves going forward. And you know what happens during the regular season? People get hurt. None of these RBs play 17 games, right? I think we were talking about it before. There were like 3 RBs that played all 17 games last year.
Steve, it absolutely gives the other team leverage on you. All right, try and trade me for one of my running backs.
Not necessarily. You
want to give me this? No, I want more. Why? Because you're gonna lose every game if you get zeros in that column.
Who's getting zeros in that column, number one? And number two, if I'm beating the shit out of everybody in all my other positions, I can afford to not be as good at my running back position.
Steve, you can only start 4 receivers. And I said you can only start 4 receivers, and you have not.
But I'm building a roster. I'm not building a starting lineup, right?
You're not building a roster, because if you're building a roster,
full of value that I can do absolutely anything I'm going to be able to want to. So once Jamison Williams come back at the end of the year and starts beasting, okay, I'm going to have all that value. I'm going to be able to do whatever I need to fix my roster how I need to.
Take him, Polish. Put him in a hole. Take him.
A lineup right now.
Take him, Polish.
And if I'm taking a running back here, I'm taking Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce. That's not worth it for me.
No, you could have took Kareem Hunt, but now he's gone.
Okay. Why do I want Kareem Hunt, who's going to do nothing this year because Deshaun Watson is not even going to be there?
They're going to hand the ball off all the time. They're not going to run. They're not going to run. They're not going to run. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Well, what's the difference between Kareem Hunt and Rashawn and Stevenson?
Huh?
What's the difference between Stevenson and Kareem Hunt?
Because Kareem Hunt gets a bigger piece of the pie rather than Stevenson. You don't know when Stevenson's carries are going to come. Kareem Hunt's going to touch the ball every game.
A second running back, just like the other dude, just like what's his name?
I do think Kareem Hunt has a little more upside just for this particular.
Absolutely, he does. But the difference is not drastic enough for me to pick that guy. The difference isn't drastic enough for me to pick him over Jamison Williams. That's my point.
What do you think about Russell Wilson at the 7-12?
Where you at? Okay, so you were at all right. So we went from Bagala hit Goddard. Okay, so what you picked Goddard there? You needed a tight end. You just like Goddard the best there. Who was even available? I guess
that's pretty good for that position.
Yeah. Okay. And then coming around back to Hammer here, we got Russell Wilson and then Kareem Hunt, speaking of. All right, coming back around here.
I don't know. I like Renfro.
I
I
like
like
Renfro
Hunter
too.
Renfro. He's productive. He's a solid wide receiver 3.
He has wide receiver 2 upside.
And he has wide receiver 2 upside. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
he's what? He's relatively young, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
like that.
Renfro is 26.
yeah. And in the PPR league, I think he's solid.
Oh, you don't got to tell me. I picked up Renfro off the scrap heap, and he was tremendous last year.
All right, so I'm gonna go.
Another receiver.
I don't know. Hold on. I got this is a tough one. Woo.
Rashad Penny's there. Take him while he's hot.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, for 6 games.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Devin Singletary
Jesus.
and that offense. Now it's gonna be him and Cook.
No, it's just gonna be James Cook. We're good.
It's not gonna be James.
Good.
Devin Singletary's a free agent. He won't be there next year. We're good.
Okay, yeah, we'll see. So James Cook is gonna get more than 8 carries a game, which he doesn't have. He didn't even have in college.
Yeah, he is because he's the better running back. Good.
Yeah. All right, we'll see.
Take another receiver. Go ahead. You
And-
know you
Dave.
want to. You want to.
Do it.
You have
yeah,
to.
I definitely am. It's just a matter of who.
Jesus Christ. How could you draft based on trades?
I'm not drafting based on trades. I'm drafting based on value and domination. Okay, that's what I'm doing. If you don't like it, that's fine. Okay, it just so happens that that's just the way it came to me. I had first pick, and my chance at running backs just was not there at the places that I was picking, and it wasn't valuable enough for me to pick.
It's all about who you value at that particular.
I didn't want to pick Ezekiel Elliott when he's only got a year or 2 left. At that point, I'd rather took the wide receiver that I took, which was or whoever I took. I don't even know, but I just had to do what I had to do there. All right, so I took Gabriel Davis. I said, fuck it. He's in that high-powered offense. What's the worst that could happen?
I like Gabe Davis.
Yeah, it was tough. I didn't know whether I wanted to go like Ayuk or Cooks or even like go Dotson. So I don't know. I just went Davis just because of the offense, basically, that he's in and the opportunity kind of that he has there. And then Bagala took Pierce, which was a guy that I wanted to take after, but okay. This guy's just stacking up on running backs because he thinks I'm going to want to trade him for one of his running backs.
That has nothing to do with it.
I'm just fucking
right now at the back end of the draft. Now I'm just. This is where I take my young guys. This is if none of the top young guys are within my grasp, or if I want to reach these, this is where I'm going to take my young guys now.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And this is where I get my value. You understand? Not by loading up on one specific position, because if nobody wants to trade with you, what do?
And nobody wants to trade with me, then I'm going to win at 3 wide receiver positions, a tight end position, a flex position, and a QB position. So I'm going to lose at 2 positions out of 8. I'll take that any day of the week.
But but it's not going to go like that every week.
It's not going to go like that every week.
You're not going to win at those positions every week. But you know where you will lose? You know where you will lose every week? With your running backs. That's where you'll lose.
But I'm going to win most of the time with all of my wide receivers, tight end, and flex. So I'm going to beat everybody else's flex. So basically, I just turned the flex into another wide receiver position and just eliminated the RB. So that takes place of one of the RB spots. You can't think too much of just having to field the team. You also got to draft like talent on the team too. So I don't have the best talent right now, but at running back, but I got what I got. So
No, you don't have any running backs.
So right here, yeah, right here, we just see this is where we just plug and play shit, right? So, we got your boy Rashad Penny. Okay,
For 6 games.
you got your guy Melvin Gordon. Okay, so now I got shit that I could just plug in there.
Maybe.
I will say, I mean, listen, when drafting running backs, if you don't get the guy you want, you can get a running back. I'm not saying you're going to get an RB1, but you could go out there and purchase an RB2, especially if you feel like, you know, he's in a good situation, et cetera, et cetera. So I do agree with devaluing the RB position a little bit when drafting, but you can't devalue it as much as Blanc devalued it.
He's getting out of hand. He's getting out of hand. I wouldn't recommend it either.
Why? I got four beautiful wide receivers, and I've got another.
But Blanc, you're sitting,
bro. I'm dominating right now.
But what you're telling the people is if you just draft all of them. No,
I'm not telling the people anything. You listen, there's a million different strategies that you can use. And I don't think necessarily you can go into a draft and say, I'm going to pick this particular strategy, because the chips fall just different, and that determines what you want to do, right? So, like I said, there's a bunch of different strategies. It just depends kind of what the chips fall. Now, this is like the first time. Well, no, I've done a bunch of drafts kind of like this, mock drafts kind of like this. Something new that I've been doing, just because I don't necessarily love that middle of the pack to pick one of those RBs and not take a Jameson Williams, a Jerry Jeudy, Rashad Bateman. You know what I mean? So there's a certain point, especially in Dynasty, where some of those older guys, I'd rather just have someone else. You know, and redraft obviously like totally different, but in this dynasty draft, it just kind of felt to me this way. Now, if Rashard Penny stays healthy and Melvin Gordon still splits carries with Javonte Williams, then and Rashard Penny is even like half of what he did last year, I think I'm in pretty good shape. No, you know, or
Penny's had of course 4 good games in his whole NFL career. How long is
there as well, who heated up last season at the end? So I think Zach Moss is I think he's gone now. But yeah, Singletary finished as a number 20, RB20.
But Singletary's not that dude anymore.
He is still the main running back.
James Cook is better than Devin Singletary.
Nobody's saying he's not actually better or has more talent.
You play your best players.
James Cook is right now the third down back, according to the Buffalo Bills, and Singletary is like the main running back.
You know that's going to change pretty quickly.
That's going to change pretty quickly.
Could change, yes, but do we really expect James Cook to get 15, 20 carries a game? Do we expect that?
I expect James Cook to get 12 to 15 carries a game and catch at least 5 balls a game. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. You don't draft a running back that high for him to sit on the bench. The same thing with Kenneth Walker.
Nobody's saying to sit on the bench, but he's going to have his situational plays just like a J.D. McKissick. All right, so here I got to take another RB. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with there's a bunch of nice RBs down here. Say if we had more rounds, I could still get McKissick and stuff. I'm going to take Brian Robinson just because we don't kind of know what's going to happen with we need more rounds, because I would just keep picking up RBs. The rest of the way is all RBs with the team is set. So I would have picked up like McKissick and whoever else would have been down there, but all right, so that kind of just finishes the this 12-round draft. Damn, we might have should have done more. But all right, so how do y'all feel, I guess, with your team? Look at my roster here.
Bullish.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for the value that I got, you know, I feel like I balanced my team out well. I generally like to go into drafts having a balanced team just because I want to get production from all levels, good end production. If I could get a bona fide wide receiver 1, a bona fide RB1, then I could maybe reach on a few guys after that. I need guys that I know I can lean on at each position. And then if a guy at the RB2 or my wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 flex don't make up for that production, I don't have to, I don't have to worry about it. So I like high level wide receiver 1, RB1 guys with my first 2 or 3 picks, because I know I could count on them consistently week in and week out to carry my team. And then just balance it out. Take some upside guys, look at this situation and say, hey, listen, a guy like Marquise Brown, if he's my wide receiver 3 going into the season, I feel like I'm in really good shape at the wide receiver spot. Now, him and Michael Pittman could be interchangeable, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. My wide receiver 4 is Mike Williams. Hunter Henry, he's really solid. He's not going to give you a ton of yards and catches, but he's going to catch passes from Mac Jones in the red zone. So I like that from that production. And then just balancing out my bench. I like the team. Russell Wilson, I'm not crazy about, but I feel like at the value, 7th round, Russell Wilson with a ton of weapons in Denver, he could do some damage. So overall, the team is balanced, and that's what I was going for.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then like you said before, getting who you want to get, and just on that 2-3 turn for me, like there was no RB1s left, at that point for me, because Chubb was just taken right before Hall, Kamara, and so I just didn't really feel comfortable drafting any of those other guys like as my number 1 and leaving, the guys that I picked off the table. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy with my team, and like I said, I could still get McKissick. If there was more rounds, there's a bunch of other guys down there too. I could kind of just plug and play with. But if people are healthy, shit, I got Penny and I got Gordon, Singletary. I'm okay with interchanging those guys if I need to. But Bagala, what do you think? Did the draft kind of go as you kind of wanted it going down the board and everything?
There's just some places where like and when you're picking 6, I feel like you always have to have a backup plan, because because when you're in the middle of the draft, somebody is always gonna take your guy. No matter what, it's just gonna, every pick, somebody's gonna take the guy that you focus on, and you have to be able to, you always got to have a backup plan. I'm like Polish. I like to try and balance out my team and get, solid, number 1 guys at each level of my team. And then when you hit those wide receiver 2s and, RB2s and wide receiver 3s, then you can, go on the fly and look for production. But, at the back half of the draft, especially in Dynasty, if I can't get those, those guys like last year it was Chase, you know what I'm saying? If you can't, or Najee, if you're not able to get those guys, you know what I'm saying? I start looking at, guys down the line that are gonna give you, some production and that have high upside that may turn out to something, and use them as my bench guys, and maybe, give them, spot starts on a buy. Just use them as my depth, because they're useful. They're rookies. They're not going to give you a ton, but they'll give you, on a week-to-week basis, maybe they can give you a week here or there, and they're young enough to where they can still break out. You know what I'm saying? But I like to try and balance my team out, and I don't really necessarily think about how many, especially in Dynasty. Oh, if I'm first starting, I'm picking to try and win first, and then at the back half load up my team for the future. And I don't know. I like the way my team turned out. You know what I'm saying? Even if Zeke doesn't work out, I can pop AJ Dillon in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much longer the Packers are gonna keep Aaron Jones. You know what I'm saying? And sooner or later, that's going to be AJ Dillon's backfield. I think sooner rather than later. So, and then you see at the bottom, I went for some young guys and filled out. But I feel like I like the team. It's balanced. It has some upside. It has some risky picks. You never know with Saquon. That's a risky pick and things like that. But I draft based on, trying to keep it balanced and production. And I don't know, Steve. I cannot
Well,
I cannot draft that. Those Dalton Schultz pick right there. Was that on the turn? Yeah. I think you could you have gotten NTN there? NTN is good pick there.
Kenneth Walker.
I mean,
Kenneth Walker. You know what I'm saying?
What? Yeah, they have Kenneth Walker, but Penny is still the guy unless he gets hurt or something. They're going to be running the ball a lot anyway. So, I mean, and like I said, McKissick was still down there. There was still a couple other guys that are going to get play. I think Chase Edmonds was still down there. No, not Chase Edmonds. He wasn't still down there. We can't even see who's still there right now.
Nah, Edmonds was there. Edmonds was there.
But there was a few different guys, that was there. So anyway, that's why I kind of did that. But again, we don't start the season until who knows what's going to happen with injuries and stuff like that. So worry about that down the line. But I think I picked up a lot of value kind of.
And speaking to the general public, please.
And I don't have to worry about any
do
not
pick 10 wide receivers. If anybody out there is watching us, please do not do that. Do not pick 19 wide receivers. Get yourself a running back.
Wide receivers. I have my starting 3 wide receivers, my flex. I got 2 bench guys. One to fill in during bye weeks. One in case I get an injury.
And honestly, Steve, I think if we didn't make it, I think if we didn't make a big deal out of it, you'd still be picking wide receivers.
No, I don't need wide receivers at that point. I got all my value at wide receivers, right? So now going forward, all I need to do is draft like RBs or trade for RBs. I don't need to worry about all of my other positions,
Yeah, maybe, but you draft based on I can move these guys, I'm
not drafting based on I can move them. I'm drafting based on the value at the current pick that I'm picking, right? So if I have a choice between Jerry Jeudy and Ezekiel Elliott, I'm taking Jeudy.
All right. So if you're struggling at running back, right, and you have Jeudy, you're struggling at running back. If you were going to trade Jeudy, because everybody is open for business.
Am I struggling at running back and losing, or am I struggling at running back and actually winning because all my other guys are going ham?
You're not gonna, Steve. There's no. How could you? If your guys are giving you 3 or 4 points
whose
a game.
Whose tight end is going to be better than Schultz?
Huh?
Other than Mark Andrews or
Kittle,
Kelsey.
Mark Andrews.
Okay, and Schultz was number 3,
Kelsey.
right?
Dawson Knox, maybe. Him and Dawson, Schultz and Dawson Knox are kind of equal to me, if you ask me. I think so. I like Dawson Knox. I don't know.
Dawson Knox is a touchdown dependent dude.
Okay? I don't know. I don't know. But if you
Schultz had 104 targets, 78 catches, 808 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He was the clear-cut number 3 dude. And
so what you're telling me on a week-to-week basis, Justin Jefferson is going to outscore Jamar Chase? You can say that.
But I'm not playing Jamar Chase every week. Okay. Now, what's the chances that and Bateman beat all those guys that I play against? I have a higher percentage. I'm not saying they're going to win every single week. No, of course not. That's going to fluctuate. But I put myself in a higher position to win, and a better position to win more positions that we're playing against. Running backs only count for 2 of the 8 positions, right?
Absolutely, Steve. But you cannot. Okay. You're making.
And it's not like I'm taking zeros. I'm going to be having guys that can play.
But do you understand what I'm saying, Polish? He has to count on. Yeah, but he has to count on his receivers making up that production every week.
So that's where I kind of differ a little bit. Like the logic, I can rationalize it in certain senses, but other senses, for me, from my own personal strategy, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just wouldn't do it because I don't want to have to, as you said, I don't I don't want to have to expect my guys, especially my wide receivers, in that situation
to drop
to be
25 every week.
to be top notch every single week to make up for running back or running back production. You know what I mean? I'd rather have more balance, and then if a guy breaks out, that could carry me over the week.
Yeah, if you want to have balance, then you can have balance. But if my number 3 and number 4 wide receivers are actual like wide receiver ones, then like that's an advantage, right? How many weeks is Hunter Renfrow going to beat out Jerry Jeudy with Russell Wilson, right?
I mean, you beat you.
It's just a higher percentage. Can it happen? Of course, without a doubt. But
and I think that might be a bad example because we look at Jerry Jeudy and we look at Hunter Renfrow and we're like, Jerry Jeudy is a better receiver, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to put up better numbers.
Because Hunter Renfrow is uber productive.
You know, so my logic is I don't want to have to make up for production at another position because my running backs are weak. I don't want to have to.
I don't have to necessarily make up for it. We haven't started playing any games yet. We don't know.
No, but I'm just saying based on your logic, what you're saying is my wide receivers have to produce at the apex numbers that they should be.
They don't have to produce at the apex. They just have to produce at a like a mid-level. I mean, they don't have to produce at absolute apex. I mean, Singletary and Penny last year were absolutely great, and Melvin Gordon, right? So let's just say even if they regress a tiny bit of what they did last year, they're still RB2s, right? So now my RB2 is just like everyone else's RB2, right?
Yeah, I
so
mean,
there's not a crazy difference. It's not like, I have guys that aren't going to play. You know what I mean?
That's fine and well. Listen, I don't knock anybody else's draft strategy. I just say from a more logical standpoint, and as I said, if I could get an RB1 and a wide receiver 1 out the box, I know those guys are going to give me consistency. For me, it's about more consistency than anything else. Obviously, that's what anybody strives for, but there's only a handful of guys in the first, in those top 2 to 3 rounds. You have to get consistency out of those guys.
And I get where you're coming from with value and things like that. So now after the draft and things like that, trading, picking up rookie drafts, you know what I'm saying? I'm all for the value, but for the initial draft, I just like to, the initial draft is to fill my team out and balance it and know that, all right, these are my guys right now. This is what I'm going into my first season with. And you know what I'm saying? I got different makers at every level of my team. You understand? And then, in the back half, then, I get some value. I just like the balance. I mean, nine times out of 10, you're probably going to move these guys. And you're probably going to get you're going to get good value for them. But if you say
not right now, though, I would wait obviously till the season and things change and
absolutely. But
I just got stuck with I didn't have an RB1 to choose from. Like I didn't want.
But the thing is that
any of those guys,
but the RBs that you took their ceiling is RB2. Penny's going to lose his job. Melvin Gordon his snap share. His snap share is going down. Devin Singletary, he's starting to share snaps. That's gonna go down. A guy like NTN, there's no James Robinson. He was picked in the first round last year. He's a good pass catcher and he has high upside. That's a RB2 I would like to take a chance on, rather than it was a close one.
It was a close one that I was thinking of picking ATM, but it's still more of a question mark than it is Dalton Schultz finishing as a top tight end, like for the next whoever knows.
But I think the weird thing with tight ends is
the drop off. It's the drop off.
And
how much farther is a drop off of Schultz to the other?
Dude, it's a lot. It's a lot.
What do you mean? It's a lot.
After Mark Andrews and Kelsey and maybe Kittle, the drop off in tight ends is significant. Am I wrong?
Oh, Coach? Absolutely. But Schultz is up there.
Yeah.
But Schultz is up there. But and I get it. He's he's in a good situation. You know what I'm saying? 800 yards. Who was the number?
Where's his other tight ends at?
Yeah, he's 800 yards last year with 8 touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns, but Coop also missed some games. Who was
And he had 206 points. So he had more points than Kittle. He was the number 3 last year. So he was better than Kittle, who only had 196 points.
You can't look
this
at
is just in our league. This is just in our league. We're talking about total points. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, but you can't look at TJ. TJ missed a bunch of games last year.
You know, I was
looking
just
at
taking a
TJ.
look at other
I
guys
wasn't
who
looking
I
at
know
TJ.
are
That
in
was,
that.
Who's number 2? Who was number 2? Kittle?
I was just looking at Kittle. He beat Kittle.
No, Kelsey. Kelsey was number 2.
Kelsey and Andrews, of course. Those are the top guys without a doubt.
Yeah, but look at the difference.
Yeah, and then look at the guys after. Look at the guys after Schultz.
You know what I'm saying?
Schultz and Kittle. Look at those guys. Right? I ain't trusting Darren Waller for shit.
But that's fine. But I think that Darren Waller probably gonna have a good season. But I think that you could get like tight end is a position where you can get late round production. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're telling me you're drafting,
you can, but I don't want a late round production. I want a guy that's gonna outproduce 200 points. I mean,
yeah, but if you're telling me you're gonna take Schultz, who gave you 8 touchdowns and 800 yards.
Dallas Goedert 164 points. We're talking big differences here. Schultz is up there with the best.
But you're telling me you couldn't have picked Goddard and Knox later on and just played the
50 less points.
Yeah, but you could have played the matchups and got exactly what Dalton Schultz got.
Why would I want to play the matchups if I took him and then Judy I took right after? Dawson Knox 160 points. We're talking about a whole 50 points.
Yeah, but you can make up 50 points with another tight end easy.
Not making up 50 points with another tight end.
Who
you grabbing?
Why can't you? If you would have, you could have waited on Hunter Henry.
But that's the thing. I solidified my position, a top 3 guy for the next who knows how long he's going to be with Dak. I mean,
yeah, I just think you could have got him a pick lower.
Now I could have picked the tight end lower.
A higher running back.
I just wanted to lock in one of the top tight ends, and that's why I did that there. Now, tomorrow, if I'm in the same situation, maybe I don't pick Schultz. Maybe I take fucking Drake London and Jerry Jeudy. Maybe I take Keenan Allen and Jerry Jeudy. Maybe I take – where was it? This was coming back. Maybe I take ETN. Right? Yo,
Steve, you should just –
I just picked Schultz for whatever reason. I think
you know what? You should just take Burrow out of there and take Singletary, take all of them out of there and just draft more receivers. just keep going. Well, don't stop there. Don't stop at 7.
So now, like in 1 year, if Jameson Williams has a nice season, right? Or Gabriel Davis. I'm not talking about Jameson. So that's why we draft how we draft, and that's why some of the decisions I made were some of the decisions I made. We're not looking at just 1 year, right? We're projecting further out as well.
Yeah, we definitely are, but and
I have nobody that's old or that I have to worry about, like that is finally on the decline.
But to Polish's point,
it kind of worked out that way. I didn't actually.
But to Polish's point, I do think you give the leverage to the team who you are drafting. I mean, to who you are trading to.
No, because I don't need to trade anybody right now. Now, if Penny gets hurt and Melvin Gordon gets hurt and all I have is Singletary and I don't have a second RB, okay, then at that point, yes, somebody.
Yeah, I'm fucking running it up on you. I'm running it up on you.
I have the value to do.
I'm running it up on you. I want it all.
With someone else, that's fine.
Or you're gonna get
There's
zero.
a bunch of other RBs out there that I can get, and that's not to mention that somebody doesn't get hurt and I'm able to get someone off of waivers and something, and all of a sudden they're the starter.
Maybe, but if was a fifth, we all be drunk.
You can't just say, "Oh, Penny's going to play."
That's the new tagline.
You can't do it, right? You're doing the whole right. You said before you can't do the whole if thing. So don't do the if thing that Penny's only playing 4 games.
I'm doing the if thing.
Javonte is getting 70% and Melvin Gordon's getting 30%. Right? Of course, anything can happen. We don't know what's going to happen. None of us know We're
But
all
you know
dumb.
Javonte's gonna
We
get
just make
70% of the
educated guesses.
snaps.
No, we don't know that because that's not what
We do.
the team wants to do. They let Melvin Gordon go, and then they brought him back. If they wanted Javonte to have the majority of the snaps,
They
would
let Melvin Gordon go so he can go find more money. Nobody paid him any more money. So they
exactly.
said, all
And they
right,
said,
we'll take you
okay,
back.
we'll take you, so we don't got to give the load to Javonte, right?
Well, I
And
think they
who
just
knows?
use
Who
that.
knows?
I think they basically with Melvin Gordon, that's more of just an insurance policy,
Yeah.
In that sense. But Melvin could still be productive. And if they say, hey, maybe
And now with that offense,
maybe they are thinking about their second contract with Javonte Williams because there won't be as much tread on the tire. So if we could do a 70-30 or a 75-25 split, we'll be happy with that because we know by the time Javonte gets to a second contract, there's going to be tread on that tire.
yeah, I think it'll probably be like 65-35, but even still in that offense, I mean, it's worth taking a chance on, I guess, especially that late. It's not like,
Draft, though.
but anyway, that's a little, I guess, dynasty draft for y'all. We should probably do one with 2 QBs or a super flex one or something.
Yeah, I don't know why. You just gonna pick wide receivers.
I'm a pick whoever is the most valuable that gets there. If I didn't have the first pick, then I probably don't end up with Jefferson.
No, you don't. But I guarantee you would have picked the wide receiver kid.
So I mean, I would say maybe I probably did reach on Schultz, maybe, or maybe not. Who knows?
I think he's gonna be good. It's not a knock. I think
he was already third. I mean, what is he now?
I think he's gonna be good.
What is he now?
But
be better.
Huh? I don't know. Maybe he gets 1,000 yards. Maybe. I don't know. But I think Dalton Schultz is what he is. I think he's gonna be good. I think he'll be around there. You know what I'm saying?
I'll take that any day of the week.
But do I think he's better than Kyle Pitts? Nah, I don't think.
No, of course not. I'm not. I wouldn't.
But he's in a much better offense, though.
He's in a much better offense.
I wouldn't take. I mean, I would take Andrews. I would take Pitts. I would take Kelsey. Even in Dynasty, I'd probably take Kelsey. And I'd probably take Kittle too. Maybe I don't know. It's close. But I like what Schultz did, and I like that he's just tied to Dak. They throw the ball a lot. They're fast paced. He gets targets, like I said, 100 targets. I mean,
no more Amari Cooper. Gallup for a while.
So maybe it goes up more. Maybe he gets 120 targets, like you said. Maybe it goes for 1,000 yards. Maybe that's 10 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns, and then
this is the year if you have an argument this year to draft Schultz high, like Polish said. Gallup's going on the pup. He's gonna miss the first 6 games. Yeah. There's no more Amari Cooper. It's only CD.
Oh, but yeah. And
so this is the year that I would, take him.
Now that I'm just remembering, I took Schultz there because of that turn, and I knew he wasn't going to make it back, which he didn't because Hawkinson and Waller went after, and he wouldn't have made it to me. So,
and I think in also too drafting, maybe we touched on it just a bit. It's important your position, right? Because if you're on the ends, on the far ends, either first or last, you may have to reach every now and again for a guy because you're going to be waiting a little bit before that pick swings back to you. So
100%.
That you got to keep that in mind when you're drafting as well.
100%. 100%.
If you're banking on waiting another whole 2 rounds before the pick comes back to you, you could be in some trouble if you're targeting a specific guy.
Yeah, on those ends.
Honestly, I was hoping the guys you want. Fell to me. I would have took Breece Hall if he fell. I would have took Hall.
Yeah, but in drafts, running backs typically aren't going to fall that much, especially young ones.
And he's
a rookie. And the only reason that he's in the second round is because he went to the Jets. Let's be honest. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if he went to a good situation, people would be taking Breece Hall in the first round. And I'm sure. Yeah.
Like if he went to Buffalo.
Or Kansas City?
He'd be in the first round. He'd be a first round running back. And he went to a bad situation, but he's going to get work. So, he's a second round running back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But All right. So anyway, that's a little dynasty draft we did. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of the teams. I'll post them, I guess, and then y'all could comment, like, or say what y'all want, whether you hate it, you like it. But yeah, let us know. Otherwise, we out.
Cast ball.